Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Amelia Latifah. I'm studying at Reg.A University, majoring in English Linguistics. I made this video for my assignment before the midterm test for exploring literature course. Now, I will to tell you the summary of Emma's movie 2020. This movie is adapted from Emma, the fourth classic novel by Jane Austen in 1815 and set in Highbury, England and in the early 19th century. The novel centers on Emma Woodhouse, a precious young woman whose misplaced confidence in her matchmaking abilities several romantic misadventures. So let's get started. Emma is a noblewoman, the youngest of the Woodhouse family. Emma has a best friend named Harriet Smith and an innocent girl. Someday, Harriet visits Emma. Then Harriet told Emma about her romance, and this is where Emma matchmaking began. Harriet tells the story of Robert Martin, a farmer who rents land belonging to Mr. Knightley family. Mr. Knightley is Emma's brother-in-law, that's John, and the innocent girl Harriet thought that Robert Martin had a crush on her, but hearing that, Emma didn't agree with their relationship. In the next day, Emma takes Harriet to visit Mrs. Weston's house, where she meets Mr. Elton. When they meet, Harriet and Mr. Elton smiled at each other. Seeing that, Emma had the intention to match them up. Emma used the various ways to convince Harriet that Elton is in love with her. One day, Harriet gets a love letter from Robert Martin. Then Harriet asks Emma's opinion about engagement. Hearing Emma's response, Harriet decides that she will not accept Robert Martin's proposal because Emma responds that Mr. Martin is not a gentleman. When Mr. Knightley hears Emma's insistence to ask Harriet to reject Robert Martin, Mr. Knightley tries to convince Emma that what she is doing is wrong. Robert Martin is a good person and fits with Harriet. And according to Mr. Knightley, Emma's plan to match Harriet with Elton is a very bad decision because Elton wasn't as good as Emma thought. But Emma ignored all that Mr. Knightley said, and she is still reminded in her stance to match Harriet and Mr. Elton. Long short story, Elton reveals what he has been hiding from Emma. He likes Emma and wants to make Emma his wife, but Emma refuses. Elton angry and finally shows his true nature to Emma. She is surprised by it. Elton went missing weeks after the incident, and suddenly he came back with a wife. This made Harriet hurt, and Emma felt guilty about the arranged marriage he didn't do Harriet. After a long wait, finally Frank Churchill was now among them. Frank Churchill is a boy was able to make Emma attractive to him. Even at the first meeting, Frank Churchill invites Emma to dance at the party that will be held. At the party, Frank Churchill was dancing with Emma. While people were dancing, Mrs. Weston saw Harriet sitting alone with a gloomy face. Seeing that, Mr. Weston suggests Elton dance with Harriet, but Elton arrogantly refused the suggestion and hurts Harriet. Mr. Knightley, who see that moment, felt sorry for Harriet, so Mr. Knightley gentleman invite Harriet to dance together. So Mr. Knightley and Harriet danced together at this party. The party was lively, and there was a moment when Mr. Knightley and Emma danced together. But strangely, when they danced, it wasn't like usual. That look, their eyes showed that there was a hidden feeling in each other. The party was over. Emma rushed home and studied Mr. Knightley, who followed Emma. When they meet again at Emma's house, Frank Churchill suddenly comes carrying Harriet. He says that Harriet Trent was attacked by gypsy, and Harriet can't walk because her legs are cramped because dancing too long. In a moment of panic, Harriet tells Emma that yes, she has fallen in love again. However, Harriet's statement is ambiguous, so Emma misunderstands that statement. and thinks that Harriet fallen in love with Frank Churchill because of the incident earlier. So, Emma is determined to return to help match Harriet and with Frank Churchill. However, because of Emma always meddling in her best friend business, this time Mr. Knightley misunderstood. She thought that Emma had fallen in love with Frank Churchill. They all rolled up in misunderstanding. When the time arrived, Emma got the news that Frank's aunt, who always intervened in Frank's life, had died. At the same time, it was also spread that Frank was have a relationship with Jane Perfect, the daughter of Mrs. Best, the girl who had been his rival. Upon hearing the news, Emma was devastated, not because she loves Frank, but because she felt that she had failed again to match her best friend, Harriet. Emma immediately went to Harriet and told her about Frank, and Emma apologized to Harriet. But hearing the apology, Harriet felt strange until finally Harriet told Emma that all this time she likes is Mr. Knightley. Hearing this, Emma shocked, and Harriet realized that she loves Mr. Knightley too. Harriet feels very sad because she is compared to Emma, and Harriet also feels the same point because she always trusted to her best friend works. Even becomes Emma said to Harriet for reject the person who really loves her, that Robert Martin. Harriet's anger makes Emma very sad. Suddenly, Mr. Knightley comes with the aim of comforting Emma. However, at the moment, Mr. Knightley couldn't hold back anymore, expressing his feeling to Emma and even immediately proposing to her. Hearing that, Emma shocked and asking about reasons of Harriet, who loves Mr. Knightley, and how Mr. Knightley feels about Harriet. However, it turned out that all had been misunderstood. Apparently, the only person Knightley loved is Emma. About Harriet, Mr. Knightley did was only for Robert Martin because he knows the Robert Martin love very much Harriet. On hearing this, Emma races to meet Robert and apologizes to him for everything that she did to Robert and Harriet. In the next day, Harriet goes back to Emma and tells her that Robert Martin proposed to her again, and this time she accepts. After everything is clear, Harriet and Emma are friends again. They are happy with their respective choice, Harriet with Robert Martin and Emma with Mr. Knightley, who are now not shy about expressing their love for each other, and Mr. Knightley and Emma finally get married, and everyone seemed happy when even the took place. That's all the summary of this movie, Emma's movie 2020. This film teaches us how to be a good relationship between family, friends, relatives. Respecting every decision and giving each other freedom of expression is important so that everyone can make their own life choice. That's all the summary on my opinion. The movie Emma 2020. More and less, I'm so sorry, and that's all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.